Ibanez hard case. In this quite modern looking case, we have my newest acquisition, the Ibanez Genesis RG550. So my history with Ibanez guitars goes back probably at least about 20 years at this point. My very first professional guitar was an RG550. It was the prestige model of this guitar. This one is a little bit more of a vintage throwback. It's probably about as vintage as Ibanez will get at this point, without going totally authentic 1987 reissue. So this is the Genesis model RG550 in Road Flare Red. It's really quite a nice guitar, a very fast guitar as you could probably guess. Go through some of the specs of it and just what it's actually got going for it. So the colour, first of all, Road Flare Red. One of the original 550 colours that was released in 1987, along with Desert Sun Yellow and White. There was also a black 550 which had a rosewood fretboard. I suppose you could probably call that a 570. The bridge on this one is the original edge bridge. The Ibanez have been using this for quite some time now, since 1987, but it was discontinued for quite a while on everything really until they brought it back, because they went through a number of bridges, Edge Pros, Low Pros, Edge Zeros, things with roller bearings on the S series and all sorts, but they've eventually went back to this design, which is the original and quite frankly their best design. The pickups on this, V7, S2 and V8. Actually the single coil's in S1 I believe. On the original 550 back in 1987, the humbuckers were a V1 and a V2, so not completely vintage authentic from that perspective, but these are still quite decent humbuckers. They're not the worst things that I've ever heard. A lot of people upgrade those to DiMarzios. I upgraded my old RG1550 with DiMarzios. I don't think I'm going to do that with this one. I'm going to keep this one completely stock. The headstock on this worthy of note. On the old Prestige model 1550 that I had, the Ibanez logo didn't have the tick. It was a kind of silvery logo with the word Prestige written above it, and not really vintage accurate. This is more of a vintage accurate headstock with the tick, and it's also the same colour as the body. Not all 550s had that because they had colour matching problems with the headstock paint and the body paint at one point, so you'll find some Road Flare Red RGs with black headstocks. The volume control, a little bit worthy of note. On the original 550s back in 1987, the volume control was probably placed closer up here. It got moved down a few years after, and it's always stayed there, but it's something interesting to note that Ibanez never really moved it back for the Genesis. The neck, 24 frets, all maple. Now on the original 550s in 1987, it was said that it was a one-piece neck. It wasn't actually one piece at all. It was two pieces, a scarfed on headstock and then one piece for the neck itself, right up to that point. So really a two-piece neck. This, however, is more modern 5-piece neck. So let's lay that down there. So what we've got is 3 stripes of maple, 2 stripes of walnut. Now again, on the old 550s you would usually find the vampire marks here where the Floyd Rose nut went through and was bolted into the back, but it was always prone to cracking. So for many years now Ibanez have used this volute here just to strengthen this part of the neck. Something that Gibson also did at one point with their necks, but it was removed. Ibanez have kept this, and thankfully they have. It's not the most ugly thing in the world, and it keeps the neck kind of nice and strong at that kind of weak point. The neck joint on this is vintage accurate. So this is the tilt neck joint, and you can see that if you look from that shot down, you can see the angle of the tilt on it so that your hand can get right up to that 24th fret. It can't actually really, because it's not the best heel design. It's certainly not better than the all access one, but it is vintage accurate and it is quite nice. I like the way that that lower horn sweeps into the body. It is really quite nice. It's probably a more complex design than the all access neck joint, but it's really quite nice to see this again. Nice vintage nod. There we are. Frets on this, jumbo frets. They seem a little bit smaller than they did on the Prestige model that I had. I think they were maybe a little bit wider, but mind you, saying that has been probably about 15 years since I've had that guitar, so I could be mistaken. Also worthy of note is the neck joint on this. Now on the old 87s, the last 4 frets here where there was a small lip that extruded out past the end of the fretboard, where the fretboard stopped and the neck butt stopped, so the neck heel would stop kind of roughly about here where it was bolted on, and this little section here was just an additional bit of wood. That isn't the case now. So the neck, this butt of wood here at the heel, extends all the way right through to the pickup, so it's a solid lump of wood from here all the way right through, and that's got to aid the tone in some way, because there's just more contact there. Whether it's true or not, who knows. Somebody will probably not hear any tonal difference, I certainly don't, but it's nice to know that there's a good lump of contacted wood there, just right on those points. The neck itself is a Super Wizard. So on the original RGs, again 1987, it was a Wizard neck. The difference between this and that original Wizard is probably about a millimetre in a couple of places. It's still a very, very thin neck. Very, very thin indeed. It's comfortable. It's great if you're playing some really, really fast stuff. This is the kind of thing that you'll want. It'll sit very well with my other kind of shreddy guitars, and I'm very happy now to own this. So that is my Genesis RG550.